Hey guys, we're about to start our fourth project, which is creating a simple GIF animation in Photoshop. So this animation is not going to have sound, and you want to shoot for a minimum of 7 seconds of animation. Now that said, you'll see that you're able to choose the duration of each of your slides, so it shouldn't be like you have 7 1-second slides, or frames, sorry, is the technical term, right? This is a pretty big project. It takes a lot of work, and it was important that you learned how to create imagery from scratch before making this. So you can use some found imagery, but the majority should be your own. You'll see the size is actually for web. It's 800 pixels wide by 600 pixels tall at 72 pixels per inch. Color mode RGB, and most of this you can read, but what you're working at is visual storytelling. So first thing you have to do is think of a 7-second story, and it should be very simple, obviously, but you should have sort of a background or a setup to your story. Something happens, right? Some kind of action that creates some kind of conflict, and then some sort of resolution where it feels like, okay, it's finished. The best animations are ones that they don't go exactly as expected, so maybe there's a twist ending kind of thing. Okay guys, so I have a bunch of examples for you. When you look on the weekly modules, originally this Google site was letting you click on these to play them, but then it seemed to stop working yesterday. So these are kind of still shots from each of these animations. You have to actually click on this link that I added, which will take you to this Google Doc, and they're playing in that. And so you can see some people, their story was really complex, a lot going on. If you can imagine having to make every frame of this, they really got into it. For the most part, all the imagery is created, right? And if you scroll, there's pretty much one animation on each page. So that might give you ideas. Some people drew every frame. Some people used more shapes that they would then move and basically end up taking kind of a screenshot sort of thing for each frame. You know, and they're all stories. They had to be at least 7 seconds long. Again, the point is to create a somewhat smooth animation, so you don't want to have each frame be a second or half a second. And it should tell sort of a complete but simple story. Looks like this one is not running. It's kind of frustrating when some of them aren't running. But you should be able to see enough where you get kind of an idea. And the best stories kind of have like a surprise ending. This guy modeled his on South Park, right? So that was the end part of it. Here, Carmen comes up and he has dialogue. If you can tell everything visually without dialogue, do it. If not, you know, go for it. I think maybe what happened with some of these is that they are programmed to only run once. So I wonder if I, like when you first, maybe if you refresh the image, let's see if this one will play. Oh yeah, so those are just set to run once, so that's why it's doing it. So here's this one. It's just not set to loop. Anyway, watch these. Some are really humorous. Some are definitely better than others, per usual. But you'll kind of see a range of kind of what students have done and are capable of in how they approach making this. Some use a lot of shapes. Some use their own drawings. But think about it like a story, right? You set up the story, something happens, then you have to resolve it somehow. Whether it's a good resolution or a bad resolution, a story or a joke with a good punchline, sometimes that's a good way to think about these. This one's about Prometheus, and man getting fire, Mother Earth and Zeus getting mad at Prometheus and zapping him. Yay. You know, do they have backgrounds or not? So these will hopefully give you some good ideas. So again, first things first, you want to think about your story. Now I have attached a storyboard form for you guys, and it looks like this. You'll want to actually print it out, and you might need more than one to tell your story. You might want to print at least two. It's only 7 seconds, right? Obviously, when you guys are drawing these, you don't have to include audio because we don't have audio. But what you'll want to do is kind of draw sort of what we would say are major keyframes or changes in what's happening, right? And it could be simple drawings, but it should kind of embody the perspective we're seeing things at, you know. And here you could describe what's going on a little more. So you could be like, main character enters from the left. You know, just describe it, because you're only drawing one image, so kind of write what happens there, and then when there's a change in what's happening, draw the next thing. Draw the next thing. Do we switch perspectives? Does the action change? Do we switch to different scenes, sort of like when you're watching a TV show? You know, maybe we're watching two people talking here, and then it zooms in on them, and then it shows just one person talking, and then it shows the other person talking, you know. So describe it. How much time do you think that will take? Draw a new one. If you have to print more than one, print more than one. Examples. This was for a longer animation that I did. Here we go. So this was for, I think it was like a minute long maybe. It was called No Duddy Licks Me. And it was in little kid's handwriting. It's about a real story from when I was a kid. Right, but this is longer than you'd need, but you can just see sort of like format of the storyboard, and this was done in Flash, so there's dialogue, right? But you can kind of tell what's going on. Simple drawing, little kid pulling on the pants legs of her parents. Switch, you know, she switches to a different perspective, sort of, like she turns, now she's like jumping on their legs, now she's crying because they're not paying attention to her. And then we're kind of at the bed point of view, and you see her piling a bunch of stuff on the bed. Then it's a close-up on her hand, and she's writing a note, and she sticks the sticky on the fridge. She's got her little hobo pack. Zooms in on the sticky so you can read her note. She walks out the door with her hobo pack, outside, goes down, sits on the corner, looks at traffic each way. We have a little grasshopper that joins us. Doesn't know what to do because she has never crossed the street before on her own. Sits down, falls asleep, and the parents come and get her and carry her back in. Right? But anyway, super simple drawings, but you can kind of tell the perspective, and we've also written the action and how long we think that'll happen. So it's kind of a guess, right? You'll probably need only one sheet or maybe two for a 7-second animation. Look at the examples. Hopefully it gives you ideas. The storyboard is due on Friday so that you can get feedback for Sunday, and then you'll really start building the animation from scratch. And again, mostly your own imagery, which is why I wanted you to practice making imagery. But you could incorporate, you know, some images from other places. The majority should just be your own. So just kind of rule of thumb. I hope that makes sense for your animation project, and I hope you're excited.